I'd like to live by that light. Is that possible?
Okay, I think that is. I think that's very nice. Okay, so now I'm going to turn on.
This is work about strong eye contact.
So just keep looking at you.
It's easiest because otherwise you look over here and then you get nervous. But otherwise you're just talking to me.
Okay, I can do that.
I like this better. The last time I had to do it, the cameraman was sitting behind me, very close, with his legs like on either side of me. And I finally at some point just had to say how uncomfortable it was making me. You're not my husband. Get your legs off me. Move away. Put your legs there.
Okay, if I can get you just to tell us your name and look at Jennifer and just tell us your name and your role at the school.
My name is Diane Vizola. I'm the instruction coach at Naylor.
Okay, I think that looks good. I can see it looks a little bit crooked at the top. Says it's balanced properly.
It's funny, it does look like it's at an angle.
Because of the, that's why I'm sort of trying to crop it.
Yeah, that was smart actually. I see what you did.
Maybe a little bit more purple. Okay, great. If you can just clap your hands twice. Fantastic. And I think we can get started.
Great. Please start by introducing yourself. How many years in education and how long at Naylor?
My name is Diane Vizola. I am the instructional coach at Naylor. I've been in education in different forms for 32 years. What was the other question? Sorry.
That was good. No, that was good.
That was great. I've been here at Naylor, or I joined the Naylor team, or
Okay.
a question about.
So that was 3. I can only keep 2 in
That's all right. I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, ADD. So would you like me to do it over again?
What
no, you can tell us from.
You could just, what might be nice now is if you just describe your work at Naylor, and you could start with, I joined Naylor and blah, 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 and I'm part of the leadership team, and here's what my primary work is, or my role is. And you don't need to do it in exactly that way, you do it in the Diane way.
I'm sticking on the role side. I joined the Naylor staff in August of 2014. As the instructional coach. There had not been an instructional coach at the school before, so my role this year is building what an instructional coach is, working with the teachers, building relationships, and working with and alongside teachers in different ways depending on the needs, either conferencing about students, talking about data, meeting with the teams, and also part of the leadership team, meeting with the principal, and as well as the assistant principal to discuss my role as a school level.
What do you love about your job? I think one of the reasons that I moved to being a coach, an instructional coach, is as a classroom teacher, which I love being a classroom teacher. I am with those students, and I work with them for a year and move on, and then really looking at just a small group of
students who I get involved with and enjoy learning with. When moving into the instructional coach, what I really love is working with teachers to reach and students, and it's in a bigger, broader range, that the impact of how I can move students along, as well as building the capacity of teachers and their growth as well.
One of the exciting things at your school is instructional rounds. Can you describe to us what instructional rounds look like at Naylor?
Instructional rounds are new at Naylor, and when I was given the task and read about instructional rounds, I was very excited. Teaching is a very isolated profession. We'd say, yes, work at grade level teams and then you have teams, but truly when the door closes and you're in your classroom, you're on your own. Instructional rounds to me is building the ability to see what's going on in the rest of the school and connect with even your own teammates in the same grade level and also other grade levels, so that you can see your place where that is with the students that you're moving forward, but also where they are moving from, looking at what's happening in different classrooms, so that you can take those ideas and bring them back to your own classroom, or be part of showing others and being a modeling for other teachers to come and watch, and really taking down the walls of isolation and starting to build true collaboration, rather than sometimes it's just lip service of, yes, I talk, I get in a group, I'm in PD, but when I come back, I'm still on my own as a teacher. And instructional rounds offers teachers that ability to truly understand the school, where the school's moving to, how they can support that, building the capacity of strategies across the board, so it becomes common vocabulary, interventions, just exciting things that in the end will change the lives of students.
Can you explain, and you could use a small example or a big example, the ways in which instructional rounds as a strategy is helping improve outcomes? Like just kind of the tie between this strategy and a goal that you have. Why did you land on this strategy, and or have you seen evidence for its changing teacher practice?
Instructional rounds in itself is basically based on the medical rounds in a hospital, where the doctor comes around and they go to patients and they then discuss what medications or what they would do. Instructional rounds in the education system is very similar. There's a group of teachers that visit classrooms with a specific goal in mind, which is called the problem of practice, and they are then not evaluating, but writing down evidence of what they see and what they hear in the classrooms. That is then brought back into a team meeting, into a debrief. The team writes down what they did see and talks about it, and it's put up on charts. And then the big piece is to stand back, and not with an evaluative eye, but to look at the patterns that you see across the board. And we did through 3rd grade through 8th grade. And what were the interactions with student to teacher, student to student, and then how would you move that to a recommendation that would be something that the teachers could use.
So tell me, this is going to take a little bit different direction, but then I'll tie it together. tell me about the reading program or literacy instruction at Naylor. How would you describe how you are helping children with reading at Naylor? And it could be, you know, you don't need to set it apart necessarily, but I know you have that very long block. Everyone has it at the same time. And so, you know, basically just describe the reading program at Naylor.
Well, the reading program is National Geographic, the REACH program.
I'm sorry, can I ask you to start that again?
Yes.
Just as the reading program?
The reading program is the National Geographic.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more time. To Jennifer?
So here's what I don't really need the thing.
The National Geographic.
I just need, no, this is how we teach literacy at
Okay.
Naylor. We teach literacy at Naylor thus. Everyone has a block this long, we use
Okay. Got it.
groups,
So
kind of the big,
Yeah.
well, as opposed to like because National
actual
Geographic
curriculum.
is the smallest part of your thing.
Yeah.
It's the way you've set up the structure. So I'm trying to get at structures.
But what I'm trying to avoid is to have like
I
as
see.
an answer to your question. It's more of a sort of you start a sentence with.
Let me
As-
describe our reading program.
Exactly, as opposed
Okay.
to sort of.
Sure.
Okay.
Our reading program at Naylor is a 120-minute block, and each teacher has can be whole group instruction, and then for the early grades, the elementary grades, it is then moved into small group instruction, where the students are working in centers, and the teacher is doing guided reading with a small group, and those are changed, each group moves around, so that all students are in a group with the teacher, but they're also doing independent work linked to the skills and strategies that they're learning through the curriculum. Sorry, I don't know.
Could you say more about how you group the kids and how you move them along?
Okay.
Because I know you have some unique ways you group students.
Is that the intervention?
Just anything interesting about how you group students. Some people would just say all the kids just go through the same program at the same speed, but what are the ways in which you group students? We group students.
We look at there is reading data that we use to group students from the benchmark data from the NWEA map, also DIBELS, also I lost my train of thought.
That's okay, because we're all starting. And just because I hear there was a.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of noise in the hall, I was wondering. And you're going to capture her voice, right? It's soft.
It's good.
Sorry,
Okay.
I'm just a soft speaker.
No, it doesn't
No.
help that there's a herd of elephants that just passed.
It's coming through perfectly. Don't worry about that at all.
So you're really looking for what data that we use?
No, I have no interest in anything about the data necessarily.
Just how
We
the
use
program-
flexible grouping based on
Yes.
data analytics, and that
Yes.
kids are reading at the level they need to, and we move them when we need
That's
to,
right.
because that's what's unique about your program. You don't really wait for the test. If it seems like the baby's ready to move, you move the baby.
Well, yes, that's right.
Yeah,
And that's in the team meetings.
great.
So as you have team meetings, you do talk about students
Okay.
and where we are in the process. And also the intervention groups, that there were specific intervention groups that were planned through data for targeted instruction with targeted skills. And that was a specific time, and those were shared across the grade level. And so the teachers got together and looked at the data that they had and how they would divide the students up to give those students specific skills for intervention, be it low, medium, high, whatever their needs were. And that was a 30-minute block that we did that.
Great. Did you? I think that whole last part she said is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right, let me look at my questions because I want to make sure I don't miss questions I wanted to ask you about, and then you can think of things you might want to
You're doing a
share.
wonderful job.
Yeah, she's doing fantastic.
I have no idea I'm nervous.
Are you really? You don't seem nervous.
Everybody.
Oh my gosh.
You seem like you know your stuff, which I already knew that about you. How do you decide what teachers you work with? Like, what's a decision-making process regards who you're coaching heavy with versus coaching light? And then you want to start it off with, we make decisions about where I focus my coaching efforts, right? You just want to make this a whole statement about how decisions are made about who gets coaching.
When it comes to who I work with in the building, the first consideration is that a coach is invited. A coach is not sent into a classroom. I am not here in my role to fix teachers. And very often that is the impression that they have, that's the understanding that they have, that the principal will send me in and that they're doing something wrong from the evaluation. But that is not the case. If a teacher, and there's various ways that the entry into the classroom is always through invitation from the teacher. So if there is a question from a PD, that's where most of the questions come and the conversations come. And it starts with a conversation. They come to my room and sit down and ask me about different things, and then I will say, would you like me to come observe? Would you like me to come model? Would you like me to really work with you? Because that's really important about my role, is that I am working with a teacher, building them and growing them. And so that is the initial piece. That's the most important part of my job. The other piece can be if there is a specific strategy that we're looking at, say it's guided reading, or there's some piece that they would like me to actually come and work with them, or behavior. Very often with new teachers way of setting up a classroom, they haven't experienced that. They were a student teacher. They did not see the teacher setting the classroom up. And they're also working with an experienced teacher. And they know what to do, and they know how to respond to students. But very often a new teacher does not do that. So that is a focus often of new teachers, of how you can set up a system, how you can use behavior modification, and also building what they would like, not I come in and tell them what would be best for them. Through conversations that we have, through that reflection, that the cognitive coaching, they can then move to and own it. And very often if you're just telling them, it doesn't become part of them. And then there's a confidence that comes from that. And that's what a coach is wanting with teachers that they work with.
So I have one last question, and I don't know exactly how to phrase it, but I want to get to this precondition that we just talked about the time, because you were saying that in the absence of time, it's hard to do some of this work, right? And so you were explaining to me about, making time for designing good lessons, making time for evaluating student lessons, etc., and artifacts of student work. We just talked a little bit about time, and so I'm trying to figure out how I can ask you a question, because time is a precondition for the kinds of work you want teachers to do, right? And how you find time and how you